Well done, Dylan. You are indeed first. Well done, well done. Okay. Get everything sorted out. It's one. Let's go. Yeah. Talk about, like, I know. It's terrible. Alrighty. Just making sure we're all set. Okay, we are. Alright. Finally. So today I am going to be painting Eomer from the Middle-earth strategy battle game. His dismounted version. I'll be using the mounted version, which I painted the other day, as a reference. So hopefully this dude will look like this dude when we're done. Minus the horse, obviously. So here we go. Gonna start off with Blood Angels Red. And this is going to be the color of all his leather armor here, as well as his belt and this like strap that goes around his chest and all that. We're going to come back and dull it down with some brown later, but for now we're starting with the red. And as usual, don't have to be careful on stuff that is going to get painted with layer paint later, because it'll cover right over this contrast. Was that doubt in, you doubt that he'll look like the other one when I'm done? Is that what that doubt was for? Do want to be careful around his hair, because that's going to be painted with contrast. But all the chainmail and stuff does not matter. Okay, I think that's all of that. His shoulder pads and his shin guard. Okay. Trying to be a little careful on the around the boot areas, because we are going to paint that with contrast paint, but it will be black contrast paint, so it should show through no problem. Or rather, it won't show through. The black will cover it. forearm pad is a bit more difficult to paint because I don't want to get any on the wood of the shield. There we go. Oh, sorry, I missed that. Does he have a tail? Oh, it's a sheath. No, sorry, no tail. I'll see if I can get a miniature with a tail for next time. Just for you. Alright, so there's the red done. It's very red currently, so like I said, we gotta dull it down with a little bit of brown, and we're gonna go straight into that. In this case, Gorgrunta fur. So I'm just gonna put this straight over top of the red here. The red will still show through pretty well, but it'll just give us a slight tint towards brown, which is what we're after. Alrighty. This one goes much faster, since we don't have to worry about covering every single inch of the areas this time. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to do the skin real quick. He doesn't have very much, but Guilliman flesh will take care of that. No problem at all. A little too much paint on the brush there. He just has skin showing here up on his face. The rest of his skin is hidden. I thought he had his hands exposed, but now he's wearing gloves. So. Alright, then we're going to do his shield. I'm going to use Militarum Green for that. Right there. Give it a good shake. Alright. And then obviously we'll come back and paint the detail on those shields, but for now, we'll just lay the green in. We can do the back of it also, so as if the whole shield is just painted this color. Make sure to not clip the red. We don't want these two mixing together. Might have to come back and do a second coat of this to darken it up a little bit. We'll see. We will see. Alright, I'm just going to do his plume on his head real quick because I forgot it's in the same color, Gorgrunta fur. We're going to tone it way down with some Rakarth flesh later, but for now it can be this color. Okay. There we go. Let's see what other contrast colors we can do here before we get into our other ones. We'll do some Eomer yellow on his hair. Usually I wouldn't necessarily go this bright yellow with for the hair, but I want it to stand out. And I will tone it down a little bit with Skeleton Horde after, but I want to have it start pretty bold. Got a little dab of the plume color in there accidentally, but that's okay. Won't change the effect we're going for. Alright, and then I'm going to get some black Templar and paint in all the leather. Or the under leather, I guess. Is that what you'd call it? I guess that's what you'd call it. Here we go. Black Templar. Where will the seafoam green be going? I don't know if seafoam green is a thing on YouTube. It was a thing on Facebook. I don't know if it made the transition. It might have been left over in Facebook land. I'll have to check later. Might have left it behind in the move. Just getting all this area under his chainmail here. And his boots, obviously. You could probably do this in a couple of different colors for more interest, but this will work just fine. Alright, and then he's got clothing and stuff between his armor panels here. And then also his gloves are black. Painting right up to the leather here, because I don't want to leave any primer showing. And I've got some on the sword, but that's okay because we're going to come back later and paint that in gold. One more little bit in there. Flip it around. There we go. Alright, that looks good. Spin that around. Alrighty, now I think we're done with the contrast. So I'll pull out the silver. In this case, Granite Steel. And we're just going to do all these little tiny indents in his armor. We're going to do those in a quick layer of silver. So we want silver showing through. His armor is sort of like a piece of metal with leather somehow attached to the top of it. So we want the metal showing through in these decorations. So this will be a little bit time consuming, but worth it in the end. So then we're just going to go around these designs on his shoulders here. Basically anywhere there's a gap in the leather, we're going to fill in with silver. And we'll come back in with washes later and pretty this up a little bit, so there's less of a harsh contrast between the silver and the red. There we go. Not as critical to do on the back, but still fill in a couple places there. And you don't have to do every single one of these armor panels. Just the more you do, the better it will look, but as long as you get the main ones, you'll get a good general idea of what is going on. Alright. That should do it for... Nope, I lied. One last armor panel to do this too. Forearm guard here. But then we'll be done with that part. That was the most annoying part when I painted him the first time. Still the most annoying part this time. So now we're going to paint in all the other silver stuff. So belt buckles here. And his plate mail. And his helmet and all sorts of good stuff. Make sure all these connectors are painted in. Good. Alright, now I'm going to do this design on his shield. I don't know if this stream is a thing. How about that? Wow. That's a cough. I thought it was a dab. It could be a dab, to be honest. Okay. I think that's the last of the fiddly bits that are silver. Now we just have this plate mail down here. got his helmet. And then the silver's done. And then there's only a couple more colors and he'll be done completely. A small hint of ornamental seafoam green would look great centered on the shield. Wow. Maybe I'll highlight the shield in seafoam green just for you. Okay. Helmet. The sort of decorative bands on his helmet are going to be gold, but the interior is silver. Okay. Oh, sword. Yeah. Sword has to be silver. There we go. All right. Now we'll do the pouch on his hip that I forgot about earlier when I was doing the contrast parts. That's okay though. Just use some snakebite leather for that. Good. Alright, now we'll do some gold. Is that the last color? Yeah, I think it is. Okay. Alright, so we're just going to grab some little thing to be a palette here. Then we're going to use some Necro Gold from scale 75. Give this a good shake. It's looking awesome. Thank you very much, Roger. I'm glad you think so. I think so too. And he's looking pretty similar to him so far. We gotta darken him down, which obviously is the last step, so that hasn't happened yet. So he looks a little weird right now, but that's okay. Wait, the gold is not the last color. I've got his chainmail to do still. Whatever. Second to last color before inking is the gold. So this is basically just everything decorative on him is going to be in gold. I walked away. Did I miss the seafoam green? Nope, you did not. It'll be the very end. Get his hilt of the sword here. Doubt, wow. Oh, I forgot to do the rest of his hand over here. And when I did the black, I'll have to correct that in a second. Alright. Oh, gold on his helmet. 3 little plates back there. Okay. Last part of gold, I believe. There might be a bit on the back of the shield I have to get. Yeah, just a little bit right there. And we can see the other side, so I'll grab that. Alright, that should be the end of the gold. Now I'll touch up that black that I missed earlier. Did you shadow the shield at some point? Or does it just look like that? I mean, I put that one green on there, but I haven't done anything else. The contrast paint that I use does this, where it flows into the cracks, but stays out on the recesses, or on the flat parts also, so you get dark in the lines and light everywhere else. So it's like a 2-step process, but in one paint. Alrighty, now we can do the chainmail. If I can get the paint out, here we go. Brass scorpion. I actually made a mistake on the mounted one, and I painted this, the chainmail on his arms in silver instead of this brass scorpion color. I have to go back and change that later. But I'll do this one properly. And do it all in the same color. And chainmail can sometimes be difficult to paint because the texture is so large. Sometimes the paint, or the texture is so small, sometimes the paint doesn't want to flow in there. But since we're going to wash this surface with Nuln Oil anyway, that'll flow down and cover up any primer that we didn't cover up in the painting process. And then his arms here. Okay. That should be good. Now I'm going to take some Rackhearth flesh. Would that paint work on, say, cats? Yes. Plastic ones. It absolutely would. Alright, I'm just going to highlight the plume here. Kind of haphazardly with this, just to lighten it a bit. Move it towards the color we actually want it to be. Just want some brown underneath, but mostly this color, this lighter color. There we go. And it's sort of, as you can see, kind of haphazardly highlighted, but we want it to be not necessarily just light on the ridges and dark in the crevices. We want it to be like, as the hair is flowing around, you get sort of both of the colors. So that's why you see that, like, here I left the brown on the ridges and the recesses, but then here I did the opposite. So hopefully that reads as what I want it to. If not, he's very small, so it'll be okay. Alright, then just for Dylan, I'll get some Sybarite green, or as it's called here, seafoam green. And just do some very small highlights on the shield. Just on the edges of each plank here. And then along the edge, probably just the top sort of 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock edge right there. That looks good. There you go, Dylan. Seafoam green added. You're welcome. Alright, so then I'm just going to make sure everything is dry. So let me get the hashtag not sponsored Revlon hairdryer out and mute the mic, and we'll give this a dry. Very excited over the seafoam green, I see. Alright, so then we're going to grab some Nuln Oil. At least we would if I knew where it was. Here it is. Nuln Oil. And I'm going to take a big old brush, as usual. Kind of seen better days, bigger brush, but that's okay. And we're just going to put this all over him. And the key is, when I'm putting it all over him, I was talking to somebody the other day who said that Nuln Oil over the whole miniature just ruins the miniature and doesn't work that well. I don't think they knew that I had recently started painting like this again. If they did, that conversation was ruder than I thought. But you just want to make sure that you are putting it on purposefully and spreading it out appropriately. If you just dunk the miniature in it, yes, it's going to look bad. But if you take the time to spread it around, make sure it's covering every surface evenly, not pooling in any one area, then I think it can look acceptable, especially for a tabletop standard. Obviously, if I was going to paint for competition, which I don't very often, if I was, I wouldn't just Nuln Oil the entire thing. But for tabletop standard, I think Nuln Oil can look just fine. Alright, so there we go. That's all. He's all Nuln Oiled now. Man, the camera really wants to focus on that pot of paint. So there we go. Once this guy's dry, which I suppose I'll do right now, with the magic of mute. So now this is an instance where mid-dry I go back and I just make sure that the Nuln Oil is not pooling too heavily. You never want your Nuln Oil obscuring colors. So I can see that in the little triangles made by this pattern, we're not seeing any green, it's just reading as black. So I just want to pull some of that out of there. And I want to pull some out of these corners down here. It's just a little too dark. There we go. And then I'll keep drying. All right, there we go. And what you saw me doing in the middle of the drying there was I just took my brush that was slightly wet and just kind of dabbed a couple of the spots that I didn't think were drying appropriately. So I just pulled some of that Nuln Oil off. But yeah, there we go. Now he is much more... words are hard. He looks much more similar now to the mounted one. And that's what you want. You don't want your mounted and dismounted miniature to look dissimilar. Especially in this game, the Middle-earth strategy battle game. Your horse can die, and so you have to get off and keep playing. So you want your miniatures to look pretty close to identical if possible. Alright, so I'm going to add the first step of the base here. I can't really do the whole base because the drying time on the texture paint is much too long. But I'll do this first step and then we'll call it a day. So this is just Armageddon dust. And I'm just going to apply this down onto the base. Okay, just trying pretty hard not to get any on the paint job that we just did, but if a little bit gets on, that's okay, because his boots would be muddy or dirty as he walked around the battlefield. So not the end of the world, just don't want it clumped up on it, obviously. Alright, so there we go. Like I said, I can't really do the rest of the base on stream because the drying time is too long. But if we scoot him over and pull up this guy, basically the next step is I add some Agrax Earthshade, then I put a couple tufts down, then I paint the base rim Cygor brown, and that's it. So yeah, he's done as he can be on today's stream. Thank you everybody for watching. I will be back on Monday at 8 p.m. No idea what I'll be painting, but I'll be painting something. So yeah, again, thank you for watching,